I am just finishing wiping out the inside of the cylinder, making sure I have a nice perfect mirror finish in there again. Taking one last double check before I go back together with new seals. And yeah, it looks pretty darn flawless in there. No red flags. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull our bleed fittings loose and put new O-rings on here and verify that these guys are not clogged up with any sort of debris. That's an important step, and the rebuild kits that come with these, that come with the seals themselves, you will get a new set of O-rings, and definitely change those out while you have this stuff all apart. Okay, so we have our bleed fitting with a new O-ring on it. I usually just put a little dab of fluid on there to make sure everything goes smoothly when I'm threading it back in. I do not like to see things pinch. The things I like to do is just make sure everything has good coated grease on it and give it the best chance possible of staying in good working order for as long as possible. So just take our handy tube of Quicksilver 24C and just going to smear a little coat on there. As you can see, this support rod will not come all the way out without us pulling the motor off. We have a pretty confined cutout here in the transom. I would like to pull the whole assembly apart and just have a look in there and make sure, but this movement's really smooth. So I'm just greasing this thing up and putting it back in action. And we are going to try to prevent this thing from seizing up in the future, even though we know that that's impossible. So I'll put plenty of grease on the inside of our support bracket where it's going to be mounted on the support bar. But it really doesn't matter. If you give it enough time, the grease just helps it all stick together even more. So obviously a lot of this grease is coming right back off, but I just want to make sure that it will never be said that I didn't use enough grease. Okay. Go back with our washer. I'm just gonna thread this on a few turns now. So all we're doing now is putting the steering rod back through the cylinder and preparing to put a new set of seals on it. So when we're putting this thing back through, main thing we want to avoid doing is taking that nice set of threads and rubbing them down the inside of the cylinder. So as carefully as possible, just going to thread it back through. Okay, we're going to take our protective plastic fitting here. This comes with the reseal kit. Put it over the end of the rod there. And on she goes. At this point we can go ahead and thread that cap on. Make sure our bleed fittings are loose. This makes life a lot easier while we're adjusting all this stuff into place. At this point, all we're doing is just threading everything back together. A little bit of grease over the end fittings here. Get the threads as well as we can. And then we're going to go ahead and, oh yeah, that's right, I already threaded the rod back through. Okay. Take just a drop or two of steering fluid and just make sure everything's got a little bit of fluid on it. Again, I'm just taking maximum care to avoid pinching any pieces of rubber or O-rings or anything like that. Thread this back on. A little bit more of our 24C. We're going to do the same thing with our steering rod. Okay, now the unit's back together, and then I'm just going to tighten the end caps and bleed the unit. I need to get real crazy tightening the end caps on. I just want them threaded on all the way. And what I really don't want to do is scratch anything or damage anything. I just want to make sure it's threaded on nice and tight. Okay, that one's on. Now we're good to go. We're ready to bleed this system.